Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of this weekly alts analysis series where we take a look at some of the most popular altcoins in the market and show you how to easily identify key levels of higher time frame support and resistances so that you can either dollar cost average in or potentially play some longer term swing trades. So you wouldn't think much has happened looking at the charts. However, when we go down to the lower time frames, particularly the daily, the price action yesterday was pretty wild. If we look at BTC on the monthly, as I say, not much action. Go down to the weekly, you can see we are still clinging on to that 19k weekly support. Had another little bounce off it and still not broken through. We've been holding on to this level since the beginning of September. We're obviously now halfway through October, so very, very strong level. And if we go down to the daily, you can see that we had a pretty wild day yesterday. We dipped all the way down to just above 18k, and yeah, springboarded back up. I think that's a term, but yeah, still just sort of sitting around 19.5k. No big breakdown as of yet. I think a lot of people were positioning themselves for a breakdown, either jumping in on leverage trades or selling spot. Anticipating that the CPI was going to be the catalyst for the drop. I personally thought that it could potentially be, but as I say, I think a lot of people jumped in too late, and I've ended up getting caught out with that little rally back up. So are we going to break down to new lows? Personally, I do think so, but it's going to happen. It's going to take people by surprise, I think, and I think yesterday was just a little bit too easy, a little bit too telegraphed. So it is what it is. We just keep on waiting, see what happens next, take each day and each week as it comes. So this week we're going to go through Ethereum and BNB, identify some good buying or some good potential buying areas if and when we do see that breakdown from BTC. So let's start with ETH USDT, and of course we'll cover the BTC pair side of things as well. So ETH USDT coming down to a pretty nice buy area here, monthly support at between 1066 and about 1130 odd. This was where we bottomed out back in June and July, so obviously, and it's also the previous all-time high from back in Jan and February 18, certainly where the candle bodies closed anyway on the monthly time frame. So yeah, pretty obvious area of support. Lose that, break it, and we could potentially be seeing Ethereum coming down to around, let's call it $740 to $670. This was the top of the little bear market rally in April and May 2018. As you can see the top of the candle bodies there, and hasn't been retested as support yet. So since it broke through in December 2020 at the start of this most recent bull run. So I think that would be a really good area to potentially jump in, either spot or maybe a swing trade, etc. But yeah, definitely an area of interest in my personal opinion. If we go to the ETH BTC, so we've seen quite a number of rejections here from the 0.086 down to about 0.081 monthly level. Very, very clear resistance. As I say, it was resistance here back in August and September 2017. Broke through and then deviated back down, and then acted as resistance again back in May 2018, and then we've seen rejections at May 21, December 21, and most recently August and September 2022 of this year, obviously. So yeah, pretty strong level, getting rejected back down. Personally, in terms of ETH BTC, I think a really good buy area would be this next monthly level down here between 0.043 and 0.04. You can see clear support and resistance from the past. You can see it's not been tested as support again since it broke through in April 21. And yeah, just a really, really solid level. I think you could get a pretty decent bounce and maybe the bottom if we do get down there. That will potentially be a good place to convert BTC into alts, but looking a little bit too far ahead. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. But as I say, pretty solid level there. I think be a good place to convert BTC into ETH and maybe other alts at that point should we get there. Certainly want to keep an eye on BNB USDT. So we had a nice little bounce from this area that we marked up before in June and July. So the $200 to about 227 monthly support range. I think we're heading back down there again. As you can see, we rejected off the next monthly level of resistance between 336 and 316, call it. So yeah, rejection from that, and I think we're now going to come down, test this monthly support level. If we lose that, then I think we could be in for a big drop, but potentially see a double figure BNB again, because as you can see, it's nothing but air. I mean, that huge candle in February 21 took us from $44 up to the wick was $350, but the candle body closed at $200. So absolutely huge void there that we could see filled should we break this $210 support. So just be careful of that. So a pretty good buying area between 227 and 210, but just be careful and be ready to cut your losses should we see it start breaking that $200 level, because as I say, it could easily fall a long way from there. In terms of BNB BTC, still at all-time highs, broke through this previous resistance between 0.012 and 0.0117, call it. If you haven't taken any profits from BNB into BTC, I think now would be a pretty good time. We could be seeing this start to turn around, potentially come back down and test this previous monthly resistance as support. Is that a decent buying area? Possibly. It's a little bit risky though, as I say, because it's still pretty high. And how much further can BNB run against BTC with the macro climate? And also we've seen quite often in the past as well that when the market does turn bullish, it's normally a BTC only rally. So yeah, just be cautious with that. I think the play really here is if you've got some BNB, a conversion into BTC might be a good thing. But yeah, I personally wouldn't risk buying this level down here. I'd be much more interested in seeing it come back down to this 0.009 level for me personally anyway, but it's obviously completely up to you how you decide to play it. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. Next week we'll go through some buy levels for XRP and ADA. As always, if you've got any assets that you'd like some TA done, then drop them in the comments below. And if not, have a good weekend and we will catch you next week.